This is an experiment. What do billionaires, cultural icons, and world class athletes have in common? I'm about to find out. I'm John Aguilar, serial entrepreneur, former decathlete, and creator and host of the CNN Philippines business reality show The Final Pitch. Each week, I try to unlock the secrets of Asia's world class performers to come up with hacks that I can apply in my own life. My goal is to have you apply them in yours. This is the podcast designed to change your life. This is Methods to Greatness. Welcome to Methods to Greatness. This podcast is designed to be an actionable guide to be the best you can possibly be. In most of the episodes, I will bring to you interviews designed to unlock and test the best methods, habits, and practices of world-class Asians. They are billionaires, legends, and icons from different fields of endeavor. I will attempt to unlock their secrets and at one point, test them out for myself. My name is John Aguilar. I'm a former decathlete and a serial entrepreneur and TV producer from Manila, Philippines. I'm the creator and host of the CNN Philippines business reality show The Final Pitch and CEO of the technology venture builder Dragon's Nest. Greetings to our listeners from the Philippines, Asia, and beyond. Our guest for today runs a business that I've loved ever since I was a kid growing up. He's a sportsman, a longtime businessman and entrepreneur, founder of the running specialty store Runner, and the street lifestyle retail store Urban Athletics. But to many, he is best known as the president and namesake of the Philippines' largest sporting goods chain, Toby Sports. He is none other than Toby Claudio. Toby's been a friend from way back, but I've learned so many things from this interview, as I hope you will too. President Toby Claudio, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, John. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I called you president because, just to give people some context, you were actually my president in this organization that we're a part of, which is JCI Manila, or Junior Chamber International Manila. So for those who don't know what JCI Manila, or JCI for that matter, is, could you please share with our listeners exactly what JCI is about?
Okay, so it used to be called the JCs, Junior Chamber International, as it's known now. And our chapter, JCI Manila, has been around for almost 70 years already. No? It's one of the leading leadership development organizations, not just in the Philippines, not just in Asia, but also in the world. There are thousands of JCI chapters globally, and of them, though, only one chapter has the claim to having won the most Best Chapter awards, and that is JCI Manila. So it has a long and proud heritage of developing leaders, young leaders, below the age of 40, and among them, several senators, congressmen, and many business leaders in the Philippines.
What was it like being the president of one of the most prestigious organizations, youth organizations here in the country? You led it for a year. You were the president for a year. What was it like being the president of JCI Manila?
It was a huge responsibility, and once in a lifetime learning opportunity. I grew up around the JCs or JCI because my dad was also a JCI Manila member, an officer, and eventually a senator. And he was a very passionate JC when I was a young kid. So when I ended up joining, I really didn't have much expectations, seeing that there were so many guys around me who were so much more accomplished, successful, and bigger names in business. No? But after learning, really what the essence of the JCI movement was about, it's really, molding young leaders to create positive change in the community. And the biggest legacy of JCI is not the projects that we accomplish, although we do many good projects for the community. The biggest legacy is really the leaders that we create. No? And being a leader among leaders is very unique and very fulfilling opportunity. We have 300 members You don't pay any salary to any of them, and yet you have to get them to work for the projects of the chapter. So it really teaches you about leadership, and that was an invaluable lesson. I consider it equivalent to taking a master's degree. I didn't take an MBA, so I consider my stint as president of JCI Manila as the closest thing I could get to taking a real world in
You know,
masters in
Toby,
leadership.
yes, the one who recruited me, Ken, who was a member of your board and who became the president of the organization immediately after you, shared a few things about what he thought you were as a leader at that time. He told me specifically that there was something about your leadership that really captivated the membership of the organization. It was your willingness to think of really big projects to the point that they would actually be very scary. And like you said, all of you were volunteers. No one was getting paid. So the ability of the leader of the organization to rally everyone was very dependent on your ability to get the buy-in of the membership, which is exactly what he said you were excellent at. He said that
Right.
aside from getting the buy-in of people, just to have someone like you with this visionary mindset is, I think, what enabled you to really convince people of the merits of your bigger than life projects.
Well, I think it's just more fun that way. We start the year, every term starts with a blank slate, and you decide what kind of projects you want to make, what kind of difference you want to make to the community and to the members of the chapter. No? So I figured that, shooting for something big, having a big, hairy, audacious goal it's going to be more fun for the members to try and pull off. No? And when we did pull it off, it really did have that have all the benefits and really felt good. Very rewarding experience.
Now let's talk about some of the projects that you did that time. So you being an athlete yourself and you being Toby of Toby Sports, obviously sports would play a big part of the projects that you would eventually come up with. And I would say legacy project that you have with JCI Manila, which was the Field of Dreams. That was a very, I would say, ambitious project that, from what I know, really started from you and your board going to Smokey Mountain, which, for people who don't know what Smokey Mountain is, it's a mountain of trash that eventually, because of this project, you were able to create something out of that. Can you share with us exactly what that project was about? Because I know that really created an impact years down the road, even after your stint.
Well, it started with a very simple outreach. We went to a very underprivileged, really impoverished community, which lived right beside the biggest garbage dump in Metro Manila, which had been decommissioned many years ago. No, and they call it Smokey Mountain. Smoky Mountain because it's perpetually smoking because of, I think, methane or people burning trash, and it's still a mountain of trash is what it is. And there's a community that has built their homes around it. And we were there for an outreach, and the head of the community pulled me aside and just said, hey, do you know that we have a baseball field here? It's right here on the mountain, right beside it, right at the foot of the mountain. And I said, okay, this I gotta see for myself. And having been a baseball player since I was a kid, all the way up to college in UP, baseball is very close to my heart. So I said, yeah, definitely take us there. And I pulled together the rest of my board mates, and we hopped over to the site. And true enough, right in the midst of all the trash, they had cleared out a little open space which was overgrown with grass, some grass, but mostly dirt and garbage. And they had set up a diamond, no? And they were playing baseball there. And when we came, they weren't even using gloves. No? They showed us the equipment they were using. They had fashioned baseball makeshift baseball gloves from sandals, rubber sandals, and cardboard.
Wow.
But as I watched them throw and play catch, it actually made them really good baseball players because to be able to catch a ball with just a piece of cardboard, you have to have very good technique. No, but true enough, they're playing baseball, and we just looked at each other. My directors and I just looked at each other and said, "Wow, I think so," because we also grew up in the '80s. We remember the Kevin Costner movie Field of Dreams,
Right.
and just a light bulb said, no, we gotta turn this into a real proper baseball field. And that's where the dream started, no? So that year 2010, my board and I came up with that project Field of Dreams as part of a bigger community development program for Smoky Mountain called Dare to Care, because truly, that community was so deserving of help, because they live beside the garbage dump because they earn a living of scavenging, and it's the whole family who scavenges, not just the adults, the parents, but even the kids. So they don't go to school. Their parents don't encourage them to go to school. Worst way to grow up as a kid. And yet there was this beacon of hope for that field. And when we converted it into a baseball field, one of the best looking baseball fields I've ever played on in the Philippines. No, proper grass, proper landscaping, a backstop. All the kids just wanted to play, and there were thousands of kids in that community, and they wanted to play. But they had one rule. They made one brilliant rule. No, you couldn't join the team. You couldn't play as part of the Smoky Mountain baseball or softball team if you didn't go to school, stay in school, and keep good grades. And I guess the best result, the best reward from that was seeing to this date. No, I think there have been more than 10 kids who grew up in Smoky Mountain playing, who have already earned scholarships to colleges in the Philippines.
Wow.
Scholarships to play softball and baseball, no, both boys and girls, that got them through college, and some have actually already graduated. So that is, I guess, one really good example of making a difference, of something starting from something small. And by them graduating, you're sure that that their family has a different future ahead of them. None of us could have possibly thought that it would come out of just building a baseball field, carving it out of a garbage dump. It's a great case study, really, of how sports changes lives. No, I mean, even from the onset, the fact that the kids had a place to play, whereas before that area was where they would you would see a lot of kids using drugs in that area, no, because it was dark, it was secluded, and from being on drugs to suddenly playing sports and being competitive, joining tournaments. They even went abroad. They joined tournaments abroad. People would come to play. Teams would come to play here from Japan. They would send pro baseball players from Japan to teach the kids, to coach the kids. Care of our sister chapters from Japan. The U.S. Embassy, two American ambassadors have visited Smoky Mountain and made it also, took on the cause also, and helped them out. And huge corporate sponsors like Petron and others, and of course Gawad Kalinga as our partner. No.
Okay, going back to Ken a while ago, he also shared with me a moment where you shared with your board this book by David Allen called Getting Things Done. So it's a book that he said you shared with the board as a way to be able to guide you guys as you go about your different projects throughout that year. Can you talk to me about the learnings, the important takeaways that you got from Dave Allen
Yeah.
with that book?
Yeah, I'm surprised he told you about that. Huh? Well, it was my way of telling them that I want you on my team, I want you on my board if you guys can get things done. so
Okay.
and I use that book as a basis because from firsthand experience, it really really helped me a lot. When asked, what two books, I think I would recommend anyone to read if they want to become successful at anything is Getting Things Done and The Power of Habit, and maybe Spark, the Science of Exercise and the Mind. Yeah, going back to getting things done though. That book has a very, very simple formula. I guess the best analogy is if you want to hit a good forehand in tennis, if you want to clear the pole vault, um, there's the right form. There's a way to do it that's been proven over time. The technique has been studied and perfected, and it's just something that you have to learn and drill, ingrain in yourself. And if and when you can execute it without thinking about it, uh, then you can successfully pull off that masterful stroke. And getting things done is simply the business equivalent of that. If you want to get something done, there's a formula to how you get from point A to point Z. And the book just gives you the step by step. And what I love about it is, it really, opened my mind that what the science behind being a master at sports can also be applied to work. And it just made perfect sense to me, because ever since I was a kid, I was watching replays of Andre Agassi's forehand, Roger Federer's backhand, among others. No, so apparently, but when it comes to work, nobody really tells you that there's a right and wrong way to do it. They just tell you to get on with it. No, but now after I studied and adopted the GTD system, the Getting Things Done system, it's indispensable for me. No, I have it on my laptop and on my iPhone, and even when something comes to me, whether it's a task, whether it's a mundane task or a big project or just an errand, I jot it down on my phone, automatically syncs to my laptop, and you just have to tag context and due date and the project, and just break it down into really, really small tasks that are achievable almost automatically, and the software organizes it for you. And when you sit down and get to work, you just check off one by one those routine tasks. Ever since I adopted that, I've got a lot more work done. I have to say I was a lot more organized than I was before. Have the tendency to be, have so many things going on in my head at the same time. So I needed this system really to help me. So it's one of the best habits I picked up on, to be honest, late in life. But yeah, I recommend it very highly. So I've taught it to my all my staff, and recommended it to all my managers as well, and taught it to the board, and given a few seminars in JCI Manila about it too.
I can see why Toby's as an organization right now is just so put together. I think it really starts from the top. If you have someone who's leading the organization in a way that I guess values consistency, values really getting things done, I think it's really top down for you. I think that's also testament to the growth, not just of Toby's, but also the other brands that you've been able to put up through the years.
Yeah, there's so many big things come out of small things, and just going back to getting things done. No, I think JC's and like you said, starting a brand. Those were two things in my bucket list that I had sat on for a long, long time. One was to become president of JCI Manila. Another one was to start a new business. And for some reason, they had been on my list for more than 5 years, and I've never moved. No, there was no progress made at all on both of them until I started using Getting Things Done, and I simply put it down as a project. Start a new business, and the discipline is okay. If that's something you want to happen someday, what's the first step? What's the most elementary step to that? And my first step was research ideas for new businesses. And literally, that's what I typed on Google: ideas for new businesses. This is how clueless I was. And I think the first hit was website selling logos for new businesses that had been designed by artists but were rejected, okay, by those who commissioned those artists. So they put them up for sale in case somebody else wanted to buy them. And one logo caught my eye. It was, really stood out, and it was called Runner, RUNNR, and the logo of a man, a running man. And the minute I saw it, I said, "Wow, this is a cool brand." No? And the logo, it's all set. And it was, I think, for sale for around $400. $400. No? And I said, okay, it's nice, but I don't need it. What am I going to do with it? I'm looking for a new business. And at the time, we only had Toby's, and I was, and the history is my father named it after me when I was 5 years old, because it started out as a toy store. And I was 5, so he said, I'm not going to name it after myself. His name is Bobby. He named it after his 5-year-old kid, Toby, because it was a tiny hole in the wall in Vera Mall in Green Hills. He was probably too ashamed to name it after himself. So he names it after me. That's before it turned into a sports store. But the significance of that was I was always the son of the owner. I did not start the store that bears my name. So that was always a chip on my shoulder that this is not by me. I didn't start this. So I'd always wanted to start something of myself. So long story short, a week later I came back to the site and this logo was still for sale, and I just put in an offer of I think $100, 1/4 the asking price, and thinking that we'd probably settle around $300. So I get an email back and it said, "Thank you. I never thought anybody would buy a logo of any logo of mine. I'm only a 14-year-old boy from Indonesia." I go,
Okay.
all right. I thought I was going to get a good deal. Apparently, I gave him the biggest paycheck maybe he's ever gotten. Sorry, it was 200. Sorry, now I remember it's $200. No, I didn't lowball him that much. No. So he got $200 for me, but I got I didn't get just a logo. I got the seeds, the inception for a new business. No. So I had a $200 logo, and I said, "Wow, now I have to do something with this because I bought it I wasted $200 if I don't use this." No? And that was 2008. And in 2008, BGC was flat. There was nothing here. No, my building I think was the second or third building in BGC, and because BGC was so open, so empty, but had all the streets, fun runs started happening every weekend. And it was I just saw hundreds, eventually thousands of runners pass by my window, and it was not rocket science to think that, hey, there might be an opportunity to finally open up a running specialty store. But our sales for the running category in Toby's at the time was minuscule, less than 5%. It wasn't really a thing back then. But I had the $200. I wasted $200 on a logo, and it was perfect for a store. And following the getting things done protocol, I was forced. I must every day review all my projects to make sure that there's a next step. And this project had no next step since I already did the search. The next step was come up with a deck to pitch for a running store, a business a business plan for a running store. But before that step, I inserted another one, and it was make an appointment with Ayala, who owned the Bonifacio High Street, to present a deck for a business, which I didn't make yet. But I did that specifically to force myself to make that deck, because had I not set the appointment, I don't know if I would have done the deck. So I did that first. I set the appointment. I said, hey, I have a new concept that I'd like to present to you guys. Can we set a meeting? And they gave me an appointment 2 weeks from that day. So I had 2 weeks to come up with a deck. So in that 2 weeks, I did a lot of research online and came up with a concept, for a world-class running specialty store. Something that I would hope would hold its own against the best running specialty stores anywhere in the world. whether it's London, Tokyo, Boulder, LA, New York, which are really the meccas of running. And I tried to get ideas from all of those and put it all in one deck. But I said, if I knew exactly which space I wanted to get on Bonifacio High Street. And that's what I went to Ayala to pitch. I said, here's my concept. It's called Runner, with this really neat logo. I didn't tell them it was made by a 14-year-old. And they gave me the space, the exact space that I wanted. They said, perfect timing. The tenant there who's occupying the space, it was occupied actually, is not doing so well. So we're probably not going to renew his contract. And because the COO of Ayala is a triathlete, Fernando Sobel, they were all giddy and said, "Oh, Fernando would love this. You can have the space." Okay, great. So I'll take it. So I had the PowerPoint and I had the space. The next 6 months were spent doing the other steps. Putting together the actual business, traveling to a few countries to do the research firsthand and getting the brands that I wanted to feature in the store. I think about 8 months after I bought the logo from that boy, we opened the store, and true enough, Fernando Zubel helped us cut the ribbon, and it was such a nervous moment for me because I had never put up a store other than Toby's, never a new business, never in a new category that was untested, unproven. So I had no idea how this was going to do, whether it would succeed. But lo and behold, on the first day, we had a line in front of the store, line of people waiting to come into the store. But the best and the best reward for me was when Fernando came in, checked out the store, walked through the store, and then he came up to me and said, whenever I'm in a foreign country, I make it a point to visit the best running store in that city. And he said, this is the best running store I've ever seen.
Wow.
And that, as an entrepreneur, I think, that's what we live for, right? Credit like that is what you dream about, why you hustle, and why I like creating things. That's the story of Runner. Yeah.
What a story. And the most amazing part of that story to me is that the genesis for that story really was, I guess, quite accidental. It was a logo.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity, not even for a business, but an opportunity just for one minuscule logo that eventually, right now, how many Runner, how successful is Runner now? How is it doing?
Well, in its first year, it set so many records for us. It had the fastest return on investment of anything we've ever done. Any store we've ever opened. It won the most promising retailer of Ayala Malls in its first year. It landed on the cover of the Philippine Daily Inquirer as one of the top 10 trends of that year of 2009. And we were the only store, the only brand on that list. It wasn't running as a trend; it was Runner as one of the top 10 trends for the year. And then the next year, it won Store of the Year of Ayala Malls, which is something that even Toby's had not won till then, because you compete against even the foreign retailers. So that was a huge feather in our cap. We're now up to 4 stores because we like to keep the network small. And this year we're finally launching our website, runner.com.ph.
That's amazing, Toby. And for me, as an athlete myself and an avid runner, really, when you put up Runner, it was like godsend. Because sometimes, particularly for runners who are not, I would say, normal in terms of their foot, stride, you really need a specialist to be able to not just recommend brands, but really the specific kind of shoes that are right for the intricacies of your particular foot, right? It's not as simple as getting the same size or getting some inserts. It's really a specialty store is what you were able to successfully come up with and build. What kind of research did you have to do eventually? You said from the time that you got the logo up until putting up the store, it was about 8 months. How much of the research was you having an idea already, and how much of it was learning along the way? Because runner is very specific, right? It's not something that you can just readily pick up, do an FGD or anything like that. I'm sure there was a lot of research that went into not just the layout, but even the SKUs. What kind of research did it take for you?
So we definitely didn't go and ask people what they wanted. One quote that really struck me was Steve Jobs saying that I like giving people something that they don't know they want. No, or we should give people something they don't know they want yet. No, and that's really what I was after. No, I wanted to create something that people have not seen in the Philippines yet. There was nothing happening in the running space yet, and I just tried to figure out what that would look like. And from my own personal experience, it was really straightforward. I was running in the wrong shoes the whole time. I had been running in shoes which looked good, looked like it was highly cushioned, but apparently they were way too narrow, and there was no support whatsoever for in the midfoot area for my arch, which is very low. I overpronate, and apparently that's what causes stress on my knees and especially my back. I have 2 screws in my knee, in my left knee, and I've had a history of slip disc. So running was not fun for me. When I started out, I wanted to get into those fun runs, start, but I couldn't. When I started, I couldn't even run from the house to the next corner. Before feeling some kind of pain either on my knees or on my back. So I had to study for myself. What was I doing wrong? And apparently I had wrong running form. I had a very weak core, and my muscles, my Achilles, my calf, and my core was just way too weak to run, which led to my injuries. And lastly, I was wearing the wrong kind of shoes. Totally wrong kind, and I didn't even know. And I figured, that's something that's worth providing as a service to consumers. Being able to analyze them, figure out their gait and their foot type, being able to prescribe footwear that's best for their foot type, that will provide a little correction, and sometimes for people who don't need correction, minimal shoes. That's really the product for me. Selling a new lifestyle, getting people to try out running and then adopting it as their way of life.
One of the biggest trends in fitness right now is the proliferation of home gyms. And we've partnered with Italian wellness solutions provider Technogym to give you your weekly dose of high-tech fitness equipment and exercises that you can consider for your home. Joining me is Technogym Philippines Sales Director Marvin Navarro. So Marv's, our equipment for today is none other than
the Technogym Scale Row.
Nice.
So John, this is our indoor rower. When Technogym endeavored to create this machine, they really wanted to do it right and to be the best in the market. So they partnered with Olympic rowing medalist Scott Durant to come up with the design and the features of it. As you can see here, there's a logo of Aquafeel. It actually feels like you're rowing on water. You row indoors, but when you go to, the water already, it translates perfectly. It's also the only rower in the market where you can train cardiovascular endurance and strength. This knob, the white part shows you what you're using air resistance, but once you reach the red, you're already using magnetic resistance. And that magnetic resistance allows you to do strength training. So that is unique in the market. Like every other techno gym machine now, there is a digital component to it. So it has a dedicated app which I want to demo to you. You can do different programs. Let's do an interval program. Let's demo it for you. Okay, so you can see here we have a pace boat. So it makes it a little bit more interactive. You have someone that you can race with. Here you can see the profile of your stroke. So they say that the perfect stroke has somewhat of a bell shape in terms of the resistance profile or your effort profile. And lastly, you can find more parameters of the workout. So with the mobile application, you can do so much more with the skill row.
I always used to just consider rowing machines as a piece of equipment for cardio. Now this piece of equipment has blown my mind away. It's practically a weights machine in that it can give you the kind of resistance that you would normally get from the heavier back exercises that you would do in the gym. If you're someone who's very particular about the time that you put in the gym, I highly recommend the skill row. It's an awesome piece of equipment.
Methods to Greatness, in partnership with Techno Gym Philippines, has come up with recommended fitness at home equipment to power your workouts. These are fitness solutions designed to drive and complement your training, whether you're a seasoned multi-sport athlete or you just want the very best equipment for your home gym. So get in touch with a Techno Gym consultant at sales@esports.ph, via mobile at 63917 574-5578 or through technogym.com and give the promo code MTG. That's the Methods to Greatness promo code MTG, and the experts over at Technogym will hook you up with the best premium home gym equipment and gear available in the market today.
So, Toby, with the success of Runner, how much of that ship is still on your shoulder?
Oh wow. Well, like I said, that when we finally opened and I finally realized that it would take off and do well, and of course getting that praise from a guy like Fernando Zobel, an avid triathlete, was really, I think that's when it set in that starting something new is crazy. It's scary, but so much fun. So after that, I really wanted to try something else, and do it all over again.
So I guess what you meant by that was your other brand, which is Urban Athletics, which was the brand you launched as well. This was immediately after Runner?
This was 2 years after. So I think this was late 2010, 2011 already. And the inception for that was...
It wasn't a logo. It wasn't a logo.
No. This time the logo wasn't the starting point. But I did also try a different strategy to come out with the branding for that. No? The idea was simply to come out with a concept store that was really for the sneaker enthusiasts. No? People who really love rocking their sneakers and showing off limited editions and carrying the best sneaker brands. So we came up with a name. I came up with a name called Urban Athletics, but we had no logo. What I decided to do for that was to crowdsource the logo. No? And it was a worldwide bid. Actually, I set an amount. I forgot how much. No? And accepted entries from all over the world for a logo for Urban Athletics. And there were so many good ones. No? So it was fun, picking out the one we would eventually use for our branding. So no, I didn't buy it from a kid this time. No, I paid decent money this time. And quite happy with it. We're still using it now. No? Urban Athletics also took off and it's also doing well. In fact, last year, its performance was actually the best in terms of return per square meter among all our concepts. No? So, sneaker culture is really here to stay. Pinoys love their shoes. and we're lucky that urban athletics was positioned for that as early as 2011.
So I'll get now into a question that I guess for people who are not Filipinos, not from here, I'd like to know, as someone who is behind now one of the iconic brands we have here in the Philippines, what makes you Filipino or what makes you Asian? I mean, you've had a lot of experience being someone who's gone out and researched your business, but what do you feel as a Filipino, as a businessman here in the Philippines, here in Asia? What sets you apart from, let's say, the competitors that you saw when you were doing your research abroad?
Oh, wow. Well, I also grew up in the US, but I don't consider myself, brought up the American way. I was there as a kid, and what that helped me to realize also was how different we are, And in many ways, I think Filipinos are not seen the right way. We are seen as fun-loving, very adaptable, but I think what not everyone sees is how competent and creative Pinoys really are. Even abroad, people are always a bit surprised that one, we speak English so well, we express ourselves so well, and we're capable of doing a lot of things, creating brands, creating businesses, developing stuff. We create stuff, or we outsource so much of the work of so many other countries. So I think talent and creativity and competence is something that I think as Filipinos can be proud of.
If we were to be looked at from a global perspective and having the melting pot that we have now, what is the one thing or one or two things that you feel Filipinos here in the Philippines can share with the rest of the world? It could be in our food, in the way we approach things. What is it that is uniquely us that you're proud of and you want people to know?
Oh, definitely. I think our warmth. We're really friendly as a people. We were known for our hospitality. And anyone who's never been to the Philippines, I would strongly recommend you come and experience it firsthand. Foreigners who I run into, abroad, who have been to the Philippines, all say the same thing. They had so much fun in Manila, in the Philippines, and the people are great. And I think that's really what we are. It really is more fun in the Philippines, and I think it's really because of the people. Our warmth. That's why we're so also respected, and so many countries recruit service personnel from us. For instance, our retail personnel, are all over the world, because they're among the best salespeople in the world. Which is tough for retailers like us, because we also always have to compete with recruiters from any country, you name it. No, but that just goes to show that, and it also brings me a lot of satisfaction to see that people who started out with us are now doing really well, even in higher positions abroad.
Okay. Toby, I'd like to know if you have any heroes that you consider, whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, a businessman. Who do you look up to, and what qualities are present in that person that makes you look up to that person?
And it's ironic. They're two people who are totally different, and I respect for totally different reasons. And they were competitors their whole life. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. Steve Jobs was an I really look up to, because as an entrepreneur, I think he set a very, very high benchmark for what the skill set that an entrepreneur should have. He had vision. He was capable. He was very capable of inspiring people with that vision. It was very clear what he wanted to accomplish, and he was single-minded in that purpose. That's why he got it done. Because he knew exactly what he wanted to accomplish, and he almost did anything it took to get it done, and he got it done. On the other side of the coin, though, Bill Gates, it was the same. He was brilliant, but in different ways. He was technically brilliant. But what really strikes me about Bill Gates is after he had reached the pinnacle and did everything he could do to build his company, he moved on to the next stage of his life, which was to change the world, and give back to society, and he's single-minded in that focus now. So, how I wish I could build something and create something as big as the way Steve Jobs did it, and then give it away the way Bill Gates is doing it. So those two are really, stand out for me because they lived with passion, purpose, and they got it done, and it changed, all our lives. Even with the products that Steve Jobs made, it changed the way people work, changed the way we use gadgets, and I think inspired people to be more creative as well. I can't forget the first time I ever used a Mac. It was the first Macintosh, with a graphical user interface, and I was just obsessed with Paint, the app. And ever since then, I've been a techie. Ever since then, I've loved gadgets because of that experience as a kid, handling a mouse for the first time and using an Apple product. That, and then what Bill Gates is doing now is so inspirational because the way he's trying to, and he's been doing it for quite a while, and it's only been I think recognized now with what he's doing with COVID, to build something as big as he built it, and now to divert his energy, his talent, and his treasure to solving the most difficult problems that face man is amazing.
What you said just now sort of kind of reminded me of, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Shoe Dog,
Yes,
the story
yeah.
of
Phil Knight.
Phil Knight. And he started really out as someone who, and the interesting thing about that is, he was a distributor, or his company was a distributor of
Onitsuka
Basics.
Tiger.
right? Of Asics, Onitsuka Tiger. And, from being a distributor, he eventually competed against the Asics brand, the Onitsuka Tiger brand, creating his own. And, if he had big problems being a distributor of Onitsuka Tiger, when he created his own brand, it created exponentially bigger problems for him because all of a sudden, he's no longer just this small cog in a big machinery. He's actually the machine himself, right? He is largely now responsible for creating not just a product, but a culture behind the brand, which we now know as Nike. So I'm just curious, at what point do you see yourself? Because I hear you talking about creating something in the future. I'm just curious how much of that creation would eventually be you creating your own products, your own brand, regardless whether it's something that is outsourced somewhere else and you brand
Yeah.
right? Because I know that you've come up with products, let's say for Runner, you have some brands there, but how much of the future do you think is going to be you coming up with your own brands, your own products, your own maybe innovations, inventions?
Yeah, so I read Shoe Dog also, and it's such an inspiring story. I actually stood on the spot where I think he stood when he traveled the world after taking a gap year after college, and he ended up in Athens, Greece,
Right.
and stood on the steps of the Acropolis and looked over and saw the Temple of Athena Nike. And I said, wow, if he was a college student and he stood there one way back. There was a time Phil Knight stood here and said that I have a name just like Runner. I have a name now. I have to figure out what to do with it. And so yeah, starting a brand that would be built or started in the Philippines, based in the Philippines, that could be marketed to the world as a global brand is a bucket list, a dream of mine. We have the talent, we have the creativity to do it. No, but not many successful stories yet of that happening. No. I know one though, BMV Hypoallergenics
Right.
cosmetics brand is made by a friend of mine, pure, Filipina, and it's sold all over the world. No, but that those few and far between. No, examples like that. No? So in the sports category, what people don't know though is we already create, manufacture, and make ourselves, design and have it manufactured in factories across Asia, around 20 brands, which we sell in our stores. No,
Did you have to
under
go
many
through the same
brands.
process that Phil Knight did? I mean, physically going to the factories and negotiating.
You
Well, it's
know.
a lot easier with the internet now. No,
Okay.
so
Okay.
no, we don't have to do those trips as much. No, but we do. But under many brands, namely, of course, Toby's Runner and Urban Athletics, we have products under those three brands, and around 15 others, no, which we created ourselves, no, which we don't really shout out as a local brand, um, and people often mistake them for imported brands. Equip, Sportswear, Core, Fitness are all proudly, created by us. And the whole point was to offer the best value for money we could, by branding it ourselves, but sourcing really good quality products from good manufacturers all over Southeast, all over Asia. Unfortunately, we don't have much of a manufacturing, the tooling here in the Philippines ourselves. No, so that's something that hopefully we end up being able to do down the road. No, but to create a brand that would be made in the Philippines and sold worldwide and respected as a global brand would be a great dream to accomplish.
Toby, as someone who did not start Toby's, you said earlier that you had this chip on your shoulder. For people who, or rather for young people who maybe are involved in their family business, now graduating college, maybe being forced to one day take over the family business or at least participate in the family business, what would be your advice as someone who has lived through it? I do know that you did not start with Toby's first, right?
Right.
You were with Selecta. You were a management trainee. Eventually, you were a brand manager for Selecta. So you did that for a while, but was it something that you discussed with your father, Bobby, to not work in the family company first and maybe get your feet wet,
Yeah.
gain some experience somewhere else? What was that discussion like for you and your dad?
Well, my case is very unique. Um, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't know I would end up with a family business because they put my name on the sign. So
You have no choice.
yeah, that both gave me no choice and kind of helped me decide what I wanted to do with my life. No, it also helped a lot that my dad chose a great industry to be in, no, sports. No, and then use my name for the sign. So I'd like, I always say that my name was my destiny was carved in plastic or in Panaflex or whatever. Because as soon as they put my name on the sign, I knew from an early age that, hey, this is something I want to do. Because every day after school, I would walk from LaSalle Green Hills to Green Hills and hang out in the store and wait for my dad to finish work, and then hitch a ride home with him. So every day I'd end up going home around dinner time because I'd hang out in the store. So the whole afternoon I'd be just watching, and waiting in the store. And I saw firsthand how we grew, from very very humble beginnings, how we served our first customers, how we did it with such a personal touch. My dad would literally measure hands to get people the right size grip for their tennis racket. And my uncle and my dad were stringing rackets themselves. So that really set a great foundation for me. Growing up around the business, I mean, credit to them that they exposed me that way. They helped. It really helped me value all the work that they put into it and the legacy that they were passing on to me, because I saw how much hard work they put into it. No? and how much passion they had for what we did. So for both the first generation and the second generation, I think that's crucial. Getting the kids to appreciate the work, the company, the business, and what we do for our customers. And when you see a happy customer, that's when you say that, hey, what we do is pretty good. Because so it's not hard to be inspired that way, to want to contribute to it later on. So after school, though, again, credit to my dad and my uncles. They didn't force me to join the business right away. In fact, they were like, go ahead, do something else first. And I wanted to see what I could do in the professional world. And I went into marketing, brand management, because it kind of gave me a good all around view of business, not just marketing, but everything: operations, sales, logistics. I spent 2 years with a different company, a bigger company. And then after 2 years, I said, I realized I really want to contribute to the business now. Can I join already? And they were like, okay, you know. So again, they didn't even force me. So I never felt forced. In fact, I was wondering, hey, aren't you guys gonna ask me to join the business already? My name is on the sign. Uh, but no, they didn't force me. They let me take my time. And true enough, in that 2 years, I was just soaking it up, learning from my bosses, trying to learn as much as I could in that 2 years. And I think that's invaluable. In fact, it's in our family constitution now that anyone who wants to join the business, say for instance my sons, have to work a minimum of 3 years. And if they want to come into the company at a certain level, they have to reach that level outside first.
That's a really good way of making sure that they don't come into the company feeling like they own it, right? I mean, the sense of
Entitled.
entitlement that can sometimes ruin. There's a saying, the first generation builds the business, the second generation grows it, and the third one squanders the entire thing, right?
Yeah.
It has its basis, not for all. I'm not saying that's what happens all the time, but it has happened a number of times. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this funny saying.
Right. So I warned my sons already. I invited my eldest son once to a talk that I gave, and my first slide was the first generation builds the second. The first generation starts, second builds, and the third squanders. And I had his picture, him and his brother fighting on that slide. No? And he's like, "Oh no, man, this is embarrassing, Dad. We're not gonna squander the company. Why are you telling this room full of people that we're gonna squander it?" So I've warned him in advance.
Yeah, you've warned him in advance, and I'm just curious because I don't know this. So you said that you went to LaSalle. I'm just curious if LaSalle has ever invited you to give a commencement speech, because I would easily assume that you being, I guess, one of the more prominent graduates of your school, and if I had, let's say, my intramurals, I would readily invite you, right? My first question is, have you ever given a commencement speech back in school? And if you haven't, what would be, I guess, the main message that you will give to the student body?
No, not for LaSalle. No. I have given a talk to a whole province's high school students in Camarines Sur. But no, not a commencement speech. But that's something that would be big for me, because one, I don't think I deserve it, but two, I've been asked to give talks about giving talks before, and I always start that by saying that you should never waste an opportunity to inspire people. So if you have that many people in a room at one time, say a whole batch of students, a whole graduating batch of students, I would definitely take that very seriously. What would I tell them? Um, I think what's hard now is I'm sure people are scared that they don't have the future looks challenging. But I think what I would tell them is you really have to figure out what you want to contribute, why, because that will dictate what you have to be good at, what you start, what kind of company or business you go into. There has to be a belief behind it that, I believe that through my work, I am contributing something of real value to others. And in my case, from a very early age, I loved sports because my dad really spent so much time playing sports with me. He was an avid tennis player. So from the age of 4, I was playing tennis. And he would play with me almost every day. From 5 to about 10 years old. And I literally slept with a tennis racket. I was so addicted to the sport. I'd watch videos of sports. I was really hooked on tennis, then baseball, you name it.
Well, you have the equipment, right?
Yeah, that was not a problem. No. But my dad never gave me anything for free too.
You had to buy your stuff.
Oh yeah, to this day we have to buy our stuff. To make sure that we don't discount the value of what we sell or what we offer. No. So I love sports, and more than that, I saw how it helped me. By playing team sports, it taught me so many values that I consider to be indispensable in life. Focus, hard work, determination, discipline, teamwork are just some of the things that I think sports teaches, especially kids. No? And I think it's been helpful for me all the way through to my career, to my adult life. So I really honestly believe that every kid growing up should play sports, should have a chance to play sports, so that they can learn all these values, so that they can experience all these firsthand. So that's my purpose. That's my reason for working. So it doesn't become work when you have. They say that it's not work when you enjoy it. And sometimes I don't enjoy work. Not every. You're not when you enjoy what you're doing. It's not work. There's a lot of things we don't enjoy doing.
Of course, things that we have to do.
We still have to do it. When you know that you have a purpose behind what you're doing, no matter how hard it is, or no matter how little enjoyment you get from it, because it is so hard, or it will get so hard, that you want to quit, you'll still keep at it. You won't give up on it. You'll see it through, because you truly and honestly believe that what you do makes a difference. So that's what I would give as my first piece of advice to kids, that figure out what you want to really contribute and why. Why you want to do it, and that will dictate what and how well you can stick to it. Because sticking to it, grit, getting things done, all stems from that. Having a purpose, having a mission, and will keep you on the path. And eventually lead to your success, hopefully. So it really starts with, for me, the why. And then the other thing is, I would just recommend the 3 books, honestly. And this is exactly what I said to the students in Camarines Sur. So you have a dream. All of us have dreams. What's the first step? You have to break it down into the smallest possible, the easiest possible steps that will get you closer to where you want to go. Because if you just keep dreaming that, hey, I want to be something big later on, but never have the discipline to break it down into small actionable steps, you're never going to get going. Diba? So getting things done as a skill should be, for me, taught in schools. So read that book, is what I would say. Also read The Power of Habit, which is another belief of mine that if you want to achieve things, you have to pick up the right habits. And it's the habits you collect along the way, which is, scientifically going to determine the chances of you achieving what you want to accomplish. The more of the right habits you accumulate over time, the higher the chances. The lower the chances. And then last one is Spark. Read Spark, The Science of Exercise in the Mind, because simply my belief, and the books, as the book proved, um, our bodies were made to move, And if you don't use it the way it was intended, you're never going to be an optimal human being. Okay. You're never going to perform at your best, physically and mentally, and even emotionally. And I never really understood that. It's easy to say that, but so many people also work out, but can't really say that, oh, it changed my life. So my message to them would be, try training for an Ironman triathlon and see how that changes you. Because my own personal experience, I've been an athlete my whole life. Okay, but I could never really say that exercise changed me. It was something I liked to do. It was fun. I was part of the team, and I enjoyed it. I competed. But when I trained for triathlon, that was the only time that I really experienced how exercise can change you. That's because of the volume of cardio training that I did. I would do 12 to 13 hours a week. So that's about 2 hours a day for 6 days, no? Sometimes twice a day of running, swimming, or biking. And that much cardio has effects, really changes you. You know, I think my weight dropped by about 10, 15 pounds. I didn't even realize it. I was fat back then. My body fat was, I think, around 20 plus, and my cardio was really bad. I couldn't run. I had no endurance whatsoever. But when I started training for triathlon, the changes to my body and my mind were significant. You know, I noticed after a while that on a day that I trained in the morning, I worked faster, I made decisions faster, I solved problems better, and I powered through the day. On days that I didn't train in the morning, I felt sluggish, indecisive, problems, I'm anxious, stressed, and ever since, anytime I would feel that I needed a boost, I needed to work on something difficult, um, solve a hard problem, or I was being brought down by anxiety or worried about something or stress. Put in an hour cardio, vigorous cardio, and the world is a better place. That's the thesis of the book. When you use your body the way it's intended, the benefits are enormous. Okay, and it's to the mind even more than the body.
Yeah, you said earlier, it really puts you in the right frame of mind. Apart from the dopamine spike that you get from the exercise, right? And I think this is common with a lot of triathletes who in recent years have really gotten into the sport. A lot of triathletes I noticed are type A personalities. They really are go-getters, achievers. A lot of top executives in the biggest companies here in the Philippines have taken to triathlon in ways that is really phenomenal. I think at a certain point, I think every other CEO of every major corporation here in the country was involved somehow in triathlons, right? What is it you feel is in the method of training in competing in a triathlon that is I guess resonates with high achievers and I guess people in business also who are now taking to this?
Well, I think many reasons. I think simply those in positions like that realize how the demands of their job, that they have to always be at their best mentally. They have to be put together emotionally, and they've simply discovered that the best way of dealing with that is through exercise. And triathlon is one, and of course that covers all three sports, no? Swimming, biking, and running. No, you can't get much more cardio than that. No, but I think it's also the duration, the fact that you have to train that many hours in a week is, and as human beings, we were really designed to be that active. Way back before groceries, supermarkets, we had to run our food down, right? So if you didn't run, you couldn't eat. So that's exactly what our bodies were made to do, no? And it was supposed to be done for us, significant portion of your day. And now we just sit, at our desks the whole day, and food is not a problem. Just it just comes to you. But getting into that rhythm of doing that much exercise really primes you to work and to be optimal. No, and CEOs, heads of companies, entrepreneurs, I think really value that because they really know the difference when they come to work one day and they have their A game, and they come to work another day and they don't. So I think that's why it's been taken up by so many at that level, because they know they can't afford their company. Too many people rely on them. They can't not afford to be at their best.
So I think more than anything, it's also a big responsibility to make sure that they take care of themselves first. Because if they're not at their best, then it really trickles down to the entire organization as well. I mean, if the head of your organization is down one day, that is one person in the organization that you cannot afford to be down, because being the leader also dictates that you cannot be the weakest link, which I think right now in particular is very important, because I guess a lot of people are challenged with our situation now because of COVID. Not a lot of people have, I guess, the luxury of open space. Even in your case, as a fitness equipment retailer, not everyone has access to equipment, to the things that you will need so that you can get a decent amount of exercise done. What would be, I guess, your advice to people who probably do not have access to the outdoors? They're really just stuck inside their condo units or their houses, may not necessarily have equipment. What could be something that they can get into and still derive the same benefits as if you were probably outside or if you had access to the gym?
There's so many ways to work out now. Just YouTube alone has infinite options in terms of workouts that you can follow, guided workouts with coaches, trainers that you can follow that will whip you up into shape with even minimal equipment. No? But if you wanted to augment with equipment, a few pieces will be sufficient. Few weights, bands, mats, balls, maybe gym ball. And if you do, want to get more cardio in, of course, bikes or treadmills, no. But it's really, there's so many ways. I mean, body weight alone, you can get a full workout, no. So I think it's really more mental. And I think again, it starts with why. Why do you want to work out? Sometimes it's just to lose weight. So exercising, I think, should be really seen as it's something I have to do because it's something I was meant to do, and not doing it will kill you. Literally will kill you. Because our bodies were not meant to be so sedentary. So I think there's right now, especially now, no, this day and age with this crisis, health crisis going on, there's really no excuse not to be active and not to take care of yourself. No? And there are many, many ways to get it done. No?
Can you give us concrete examples of things that you do at home that I guess you can share with our listeners? Given that you have access to all of this equipment possible in the world, but I guess to take it the other extreme, what if you did not have anything, right? What if you don't have access to anything at all? No equipment, just you, your body weight. What would be, I guess, bang for the buck exercises that you would recommend to people?
I would start with a basic recommendation, really, of if you really want to cut it down to the barest of minimums, get an iPad or use your phone,
Okay.
and just get on YouTube and look for the highest rated workouts, the ones with the most views and fitness videos. You don't need any equipment from us. Your body is the best equipment. So you can start from there. No? I personally used to go to the gym often, and it was complete, no, obviously. But now that gyms are closed, I had to set up a basic setup here, and we live in a condo, so there's not much space, no. but with a basic set of dumbbells, the adjustable type. I have a whole set of dumbbells in one, a bench, a gym ball, a yoga mat, and resistance bands. That's all you need. And you're pretty much covered. You can do so many things already with those. So that's really the most basic stuff that anybody could use. And they're good for so many exercises already.
And we're friends on Facebook, and I did see this one time where you demoed your treadmill, which was really amazing because I think you just slid it into the room, folded it up, and you were walking on your treadmill and just easy putting it down and taking it away. It's a small treadmill that you have in your condo, right?
Yeah, yeah. We came across this new brand, which has not small treadmills, big treadmills, very very sturdy, very very powerful, durable treadmills that can fold really really compact. It stands, I can show it. It stands, and it's only this thick. You can fold it down and then roll it into a cabinet, put it under a bed. So space is no longer a limitation right now. No. So, and it's a powerful treadmill. When you use it, it's good enough for training for triathletes now. So it solved the biggest problem actually that didn't exist before, no, because those in condos used to go to gyms instead. They wouldn't think of getting treadmills for a condo unit, but now you can actually because of these compact treadmills.
That's awesome. I think it's the next level of technology that allows them to make highly sturdy but very small treadmills that, as you said, even triathletes can use, right?
Yeah. Speaking of technology, the latest is really the technology that these machines use now, like treadmills and exercise bikes, is Bluetooth, so that they can connect to a device like your phone or an iPad and allow you to run or bike virtually with your friends, no, or anyone in the world, no. So the routine I fell in love with over lockdown was biking with my friends on a virtual cycling app called Zwift, and we do it almost every day. I mean, we start the day with 1 to 2 hours on the bike trainer, which is controlled by the app, and simulates the terrain on the screen. So if you're going up a hill, the trainer gets harder.
So how does it work, Toby? So you have your bike. This is the bike, your road bike that you use outside. That you attach some sort of gear or contraption so that you can bike in place, pretty much, right?
Yeah, there are many kinds of bike trainers which you can use on any kind of bike, no? Whether it's a mountain bike or a road bike, and you attach your bike to that trainer, and the resistance is controlled by the app. In the case of smart trainers, or just built-in, it has built-in resistance, and then it transmits via Bluetooth to the app, and you're now, whatever the speed or the effort you put into your pedaling or your running, or in the case of the treadmill, that's exactly what your avatar on screen is doing also, no. So you slow down, your avatar slows down. You speed up, your avatar speeds up, and it's become the COVID sensation, really, the lockdown sensation, really. Anyone and everyone, including the best cycling pros around the world, and best triathletes around the world, can be found training on Zwift. The virtual Tour de France was held for the first time this year purely on that platform, online, virtually. And it works for treadmills, exercise bikes, spinning bikes, and it's social. You can call up your friends and say, "Hey, let's all ride tomorrow," and you'll be all together riding on the screen, and you can do group rides, you can do races, you can do all sorts of things. You can chat while riding, and you're going through virtual scenery of, say, France, London, or New York while doing it. No? So it's a bit of an escape from being trapped at home because of this lockdown. No? But that's, I think, the future of sports and exercise also.
I think that's something that I definitely will want to try. Uh, because right now, to be honest, there has come a point where I feel like I'm trying to look for something new to do, because you sort of try to get into a new thing, but it gets routinary after a while, because you can only do, let's say, kettlebells or bands
Right.
every other day. Try to alternate it maybe with running. Uh, so there's that constant tug of war of wanting to exercise but also wanting to do something different, right?
Right, right. And I think what's really different and really new now is the social aspect. You know, before, to work out with a group, you'd have to join a class. You'd have to be outside in a gym, a member of a gym. You know, sign up for a class. Now, before I sleep, I'm on my phone checking out. Okay, what are the group rides tomorrow or races that I can join? And there are like hundreds of people in that ride, in that race. Or I can just invite a couple of friends and say, hey, let's all do this ride tomorrow. And you don't even have to leave the house. You're already working out or even competing against a bunch of people, you know, virtually. And that's for me, that social aspect is really one of the newest revolutionary things to come out of this crisis. No? People have had to adapt because they can't go out, and I think it's really going to pick up.
Toby, if you could hook me up, how would you do it? And give me advice if there's anything that I could try right now. Like I said, I'm kind of getting tired of my routine. So, what would be your advice? Anything that I can pick up that's going to be easy? What's something that I can maybe start tomorrow?
Again, you know, because I believe in cardio so much, and because of this, the virtual aspect of these apps, no, I would suggest you get a Bluetooth enabled treadmill, and you just subscribe to the app, which is like I think 400 a month, and you're hooked up. You when you run on your treadmill, you're joining events. You're running with a bunch of people. It's gamified. You won't get lazy of doing it because there are incentives for you to hit, you know, certain objectives, goals, mileage, and it's just fun. No? It's fun to do it with friends, and that's the most important. That's what makes it sticky, because sometimes now you work out, you do it by yourself, and there's no virtual aspect to it. It gets, it gets boring after a while, no, like you said. But this it's really a game changer when you do it with other people virtually, when you have a gamified experience along with the workout. It's a whole new world really for exercise. No? And then if you're ready to, another step up is to actually get an exercise bike, which we also have, which are Bluetooth enabled, which will allow you to do the cycling part of Swift also.
One of the benefits of being your friend on social media is that I get to see the latest stuff that's out there. And the other day, I actually saw you, like you said, with a group of, I don't know, these are your friends. You were on a bike ride in some foreign country. It looked semi-real, but I could imagine being in that race with you.
But that's a blast. No? 100 Filipinos, triathletes, cyclists, recreational cyclists, all get together twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, and we race. Through the virtual French countryside, a virtual London, virtual New York, and it's all good fun because you're really pushing yourself. I mean, if you're racing against 100 people and like 30 of them are good friends of mine, there's definitely a friendly rivalry going on. Even the girls are like kicking butt. They're really strong, and people are incentivized to get better and better, get stronger. You see people getting stronger over the last few months alone. People have gotten a lot faster, a lot stronger, and it's all because of that social aspect, that gamified aspect. And then the other app I use is really a virtual maps. where you can, all my bucket list rides all over the world, in the Alps, in the Swiss Alps, through the French countryside, the Italian countryside, all in high def. And you put your bike in front of the TV, and you're almost there. It takes you, it's a great escape from the dangerous traffic of Metro Manila. But yeah, so cycling is my, indoor cycling is my new love.
I think given the pandemic situation, I think that's something I definitely want to try, as I know a lot of people are currently looking right now for really something challenging to do, right? I mean, you get on a treadmill, but it's different. You're actually motivated because you have teammates, friends, peers that you're cycling with. So I think that's really also the wave of the near future, at least until we come up with a way to speed up our access to the vaccine. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that. So Toby, it's been a pleasure. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that your family is waiting for you. You commandeered the dining table. I want to leave you now, but I guess just some parting words from you, from someone who is running your business empire, but at the same time, someone who's also coping with the realities of being stuck at home. What would be, I guess, your parting words for people who are trying their best to handle this? And also for entrepreneurs out there who are finding this a very challenging time to run a business.
One of the main reasons why I work out is just to help me cope. Despite how well the fitness category is doing, business is bad, and I'm really worried about unemployment, about continuing to provide employment to all our people, our thousand, almost 1,000 employees. So it's so much to carry around. And that's why I believe that taking care of yourself, being active and fit, is really a necessity now, to help you cope emotionally, physically, stay healthy, not get sick. Should be a priority for us, and really just get through this, because it's really testing all of us. I think it's really a huge test, for anyone, especially those who own businesses, those who work in those businesses. And as much as they worry about losing their jobs, I as a business owner am worried about making sure that they have jobs, and that we can continue to provide employment. So, all I can say is, it's just something that we have to get through. And again, just to get it done, you have to start with small steps. Find the right habits, hang out with the right people, I guess, and get good advice from blogs like this. So I'm just happy to share some of the things that have worked for me, and I rely on now. So my parting words would be, hang in there. Hopefully this too shall pass.
And it will. That's always been I guess, the mantra of athletes. In the face of exhaustion, of like you said earlier, not everything that you do in your business you love. Same thing with sports. No one wants to throw up when they reach maybe the last mile of that marathon, but you soldier on. You continue with what you need to do so that you get to the finish line. And the thing is, the unique thing with what's happening now is we're all on the same boat. I guess in a lot of ways it gives us also strength, knowing that we are hand in hand with this together, right? No one is exempted from hardship, from the challenges that we have now. And I just hope that people like you continue to provide for the thousands of jobs that you do. And I really also wish you luck, Toby, with the organization. I know that it's very important now, what you're doing. It is as much a business as it is an advocacy, because I truly believe, as you do, that sports, health and fitness, wellness is critical to us surviving the challenges that we have now with COVID. So I really wish you luck with
Thank you.
running, maintaining the business. In the future, after all of this is over, possibly coming up with more, I guess, innovations in the way you do business. I'm sure one of these days you will have your own unique Filipino products, inventions in the market that other countries would sell and call, proudly Philippine imported brands, sports brands.
Right. We have to name it after a famous decathlete, UAAP standout. You.
I thought you were gonna say Bruce Jenner because Bruce Jenner was my idol when I was in college, high school, college. So
Yeah, no. I'll take you over Bruce Jenner, over Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah. Yeah. No. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Yeah. Like any business owner nowadays, we need all the, luck we can get now, to get through this. And what's helping us push through really is just the belief that what we're doing as a business helps people. And hopefully tulungan na lang, lahat ng mga, all businesses are struggling now, and I think we should help out every kind of business now, especially those in the hospitality industry, tourism industry, food industry. If we have it hard, I'm sure they have it even tougher. So I think that's really important now that we find a way to help everyone through it.
Well, Toby, thank you very much. After all of this is over, I hope to join you on a bike ride out of town.
Yeah, anytime. You just let me know. You can. I'll lend you a bike, so you have no excuses. And
You got me.
I know you run, so it's swim na lang. Okay, so you need to sign up for that triathlon.
I just might. So I have time. I can still try.
All right.
Thank you very much, Toby Claudio, for being here today. And it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Technogym. We've partnered with Technogym for equipment recommendations for your home gym. So if you're looking for gear that will help you elevate your home gym experience to the next level, just go to technogym.com and type the Methods to Greatness promo code MTG. That's MTG, and we'll hook you up with the best premium home gym equipment in the market today. If you would like me to interview anyone on the face of the earth and want them on the podcast, or if you want to collaborate with us for future content or sponsorship opportunities, or if you just have any recommendations on how we can get better, just send us an email at hello@methodstogreatness.com. That's hello@methodstogreatness.com. Until then, we'll see you next time.